What's up, Mike here from Tune Test Drive. In today's video, I'm going to share with you all the parts you will need to complete a single turbo conversion on your original twin turbo Supra. I will also provide a cost breakdown of buying all these parts as part of a pre-made kit, and also a cost breakdown of piecing all these parts together yourself outside of a pre-made kit. Stay tuned. So why would you want to get rid of the twin turbos and replace them with one single turbo? I thought two turbos is always better than one. Well, in this case, no, because you can get almost the same response as the twin turbos with a medium to smaller size single turbo and be able to achieve much more power with a single turbo conversion. With a single turbo conversion, you clean up this side of the engine bay tremendously. With the stock twin turbos, there's a ton of vacuum lines, electronics to control the sequential twin turbo system. So by removing all that and replacing it with a single turbo conversion, you pretty much clean up this whole side of the engine bay, and it makes working on this car so much easier. Now in this video, I'm just going to cover the minimum parts you'll need to remove your stock twins and replace them with a single turbo. To make this work, you'll still be using the OEM ECU and MAF to run the car. Now you combine this single turbo kit with a boost controller set to around 18 psi. As long as you have a medium to small turbo, you'll be able to put down at least 500 wheel horsepower with this setup. No tuning needed. The stock ECU will take care of everything, as long as you have the USDM 550cc injectors. Now if you're doing this to a JDM, the smaller injectors in that car will hinder you from making the type of power you can on the USDM cars, but if you are starting out with a USDM car, you should be able to put down around 500 horsepower with this single turbo kit. Alright, so the parts you're going to need are single turbo. Obviously, you're going to need a new intake pipe with provisions for the MAF. Currently this one does not, but you will need one that has provisions for the MAF. You'll need a new intake filter. You'll need a new manifold, downpipe. You might need a new mid-pipe depending on what kit you get. You're going to need a wastegate with dump tube. You're going to need some kind of intercooler piping to hook up to your new front mount intercooler. You're going to need a boost controller. You're going to need a block off bolt for the OEM oil feed, which is now blocked off. You only need one oil feed, so you'll need a new oil feed and oil drain. You'll also need to block off your coolant neck, which will have two coolant feeds, and also the coolant line running underneath the manifold will need blocked off as well. You'll need a wideband sensor and gauge. You will also need to run a piece of tubing from your idle air controller back to the MAF. That way you can run this whole setup on the stock ECU. Without that pipe, your car will die when you try starting it up. And if you haven't already, you probably want to add in a set of one-step cooler spark plugs as well. You will need another blow-off valve. Most people run them on the cold side of the intercooler piping over by the throttle body. You also might need shorter exhaust studs to fit your manifold. A lot of times with the tubular ones, the clearance you have underneath these runners is a lot less than what it was for the stock manifold, so you'll have to use shorter exhaust studs. You can get those from Toyota. And then you also need miscellaneous gaskets, couplers, and clamps to clamp all this stuff together. Alright, so there's two ways to get all these parts. You can either buy a pre-made kit from one of the many Supra vendors, or you can piece all these parts together yourself using various different sources. Now there's advantages and disadvantages of each method. Buying a kit will give you all the parts you need, so you don't have to worry about all the miscellaneous bolts and clamps and gaskets. But usually the kits will be more expensive than sourcing all the parts yourself. Now if you source all the parts yourself, you can save a bunch of money, but the only problem is you may overlook some of the parts you need, so you might end up halfway through your conversion and you realize, oh, I need this part or that part. So if time is a factor, then you might want to look into a kit. But if time really isn't a factor, then really sourcing all these parts yourself will really save you a bunch of money. So it's up to you to choose which way you want to go, either buying a pre-made kit or buying all the parts yourself. But for this video, here are my two cost estimates for each option. So option one is a pre-made kit from Powerhouse Racing, which is their Street Torque kit. It's pretty much what I did to this car when I first got it. It was the single turbo kit I went with. I coupled that with a good intercooler from ETS, which is their 4-inch core. It comes with all the piping, everything you need. So here's the cost of that option. Now the second option, I pulled together parts from various different websites and online sources to try to get the cheapest kit I could find. Now for this kit, I stayed away from knockoff turbos. I pretty much went with a name brand turbo, but instead of the Precision turbo, which would have been included with the Powerhouse Racing kit, I swapped that out for a cheaper version, which is the Borg Warner S366, which is a commonly used turbo by many Supra owners. So here's the cost of that option. Now you can usually find all these parts even cheaper if you buy them used, but like I said, if time is not on your side, it's going to take you a while to source all these parts used. Now for the purposes of this video, I just wanted to throw out some rough numbers. I'm sure you can find some of these components cheaper from some other source that I didn't list, but for now I just wanted to throw out some rough numbers just so you can get a rough idea of the cost to buy a kit versus the cost to source all these parts yourself. Now this single turbo conversion will be the pretty much stepping stone for any mod you will do to your car from here on out. Really with these mods, your clutch is probably the next thing you're gonna have to worry about, and if you are not running the OEM 6-speed or don't have one of the better transmissions in your car, then that might be the next weak point, because with this single turbo conversion you could easily put down 500 wheel horsepower. And from this point you can keep it simple and sane, or you can go from here and build some 1,000 horsepower monster. It's really up to you and your budget. As always, I would love to hear your feedback on these kits. Did I miss something major? What kit are you running? What's the cheapest pieced together kit you could find online? Let me know in the comments. But as always, thanks for stopping by. I think that's gonna be it for this one. I'll catch you on the next one.